Hello. It's the middle of the night. I sleep during the day now because it's easier for me to sleep. And I get scared at night. So I stay awake. I'm drinking coffee. I was doing a little reading. I have this about mental disorders. And I read it not only to understand what happened to me, which is ridiculous, how people gave me 5 million different, what I would call a label. It doesn't make sense. I mean, epilepsy, anxiety disorder, PTSD, just nonstop labels. And so I've been reading about what scared me for several years. Somehow I stumbled upon some bad people, I would say. I don't know how, but I was afraid for a long time. So it helped me to get this and read about why there's so much violence towards women and men, and why someone would have to normalize that. And to me, it was like, this isn't normal, and it doesn't make me crazy. It kind of makes you crazy if you enjoy hurting people. It's pretty simple to me. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. And it has nothing to do with religion or right and wrong or morals or anything ethical or whatever. It's real simple. So I have the power and control wheel when it comes to domestic violence. So here's what violence is, all of these things. And here's what's not violence, all of these things. So I'll go ahead and read those. I'm going to start with, which is an intervention project someone did, because a lot of people go through this stuff and don't understand what happened and why someone would normalize violence. So the power and control wheel, which is physical and sexual violence, using intimidation, making her afraid by using looks, actions, gestures, smashing things, destroying her property, abusing pets, displaying weapons, using emotional abuse, putting her down, making her feel bad about herself, calling her names, making her think she's crazy, playing mind games, humiliating her, making her feel guilty, using isolation, controlling what she does, who she sees and talks to, what she reads, where she goes, limiting her outside involvement, using jealousy to justify actions. Now, let me remind you, this could be a man or a woman. Anybody could do this. Minimizing, denying, and blaming, making light of the abuse and not taking her concerns about it seriously, saying the abuse didn't happen, shifting responsibility for abusive behavior, saying she caused it, using children, making her feel guilty about the children, using the children to relay messages, using visitation to harass her, threatening to take the children away, using male privilege, treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men's and women's roles, using economic abuse, preventing her from getting or keeping a job, making her ask for money, giving her an allowance, taking her money, not letting her know about or have access to family income, using coercion and threats, making and or carrying out threats to do something to hurt her, threatening to leave her to commit suicide, to report her to welfare, making her drop charges, making her do illegal things. So that's all violence. Okay, and this would be from the intervention project, which I look it up. Nonviolence, the equality wheel, which I don't know about. I have no idea. Negotiation and fairness, seeking mutually satisfying resolutions to conflict, accepting change, being willing to compromise. Non-threatening behavior, talking and acting so that she feels safe and comfortable expressing herself and doing things. Now, that's why I'm putting this on the internet, because I like boundaries and I don't want you in my face. I don't want you near me. I want you at least as far away as I can handle. I don't want to smell you. I don't want you near me. Respect, listening to her non-judgmentally, being emotionally affirming and understanding, valuing opinions, trust and support, supporting her goals in life, respecting her right to her own feelings, friends, activities, and opinions. It's been a long time since I've had friends that I could talk to. Honesty and accountability, accepting responsibility for self, acknowledging past use of violence, admitting being wrong, communicating openly and truthfully. I love that. Admitting being wrong. I love that. That'll be the day. Responsible parenting, sharing parental responsibilities, being a positive, non-violent role model for the children. Shared responsibility, mutually agreeing on a fair distribution of work, meaning you shouldn't sit on your ass while I do everything. Making family decisions together. I am not your slave. Economic partnership, making money decisions together. As in, you have everything and I have a dime, but I'm doing all the work. Making sure both partners benefit from financial arrangements. WIC is women, infants, and children, not men, while the woman is your little housekeeper. Negotiation and fairness, seeking mutually satisfying resolutions to conflict. I think I'm going around and around and around until I figure out what nonviolence is, because I've never experienced this. Not with a man, not with friends, or people that supposedly cared about me. Total bullshit. People that covered up the fact that I had a lot of violent men and women in my life. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with certain people who like to attack in groups. And I have all of it right here. I put it in orange. I highlighted most of it, which is you have a mental disorder. If you're familiar with sexual sadism, inflicting humiliation or suffering, voyeurism, observing sexual activity, which would be someone spying on you or stalking you. These are sex offenders. I can't pronounce this. FROTTEURISM means touching and rubbing against a non-consenting person. I don't know how many times I have pictures of men just touching my ass in public just because they can, which makes me want to fucking do something back and make them stop. These things. So that's one. Sexual sadism, transvestic fetishism, men that dress as women. I can't pronounce this either. Paraphilias. Recurrent, intense, sexually arousing fantasies, sexual urges, or behaviors generally involving non-human objects. The suffering or humiliation of one's partner, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch of different sexual disorders. Unwilling victims, a non-consensual partner, blah, 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 blah. There's just a whole lot of information about each one. People that, prey on teenagers. Making excuses about it, rationalizing it somehow. Just disgusting. Just incredibly disgusting. Yeah. Sexual sadism involves activities that indicate the dominance of the person over the victim, forcing the victim to crawl or keeping the victim in a cage. I've seen these things. I didn't see them happen to men. I saw them happen to women. Later on, I did see a couple things that happened to men too, which was horrifying. Involves restraint, blindfolding, paddling, spanking, whipping, pinching, beating, burning, electrical shocks, rape, cutting, stabbing, strangulation, torture, mutilation, or killing. These are individuals with sexual sadism may seriously injure or kill their victims, especially when it's associated with antisocial personality disorder. Voyeurism, spying on people, putting cameras in their homes. I mean, these little cameras right here, they're so tiny. I've seen shit on the internet. Like, these people had no idea they're being watched. They had no idea. Unwilling victims. I used to be very paranoid about shit like that. So it was easy for somebody to say, well, you just have a paranoid personality disorder. These aren't real. Bullshit. I had a laptop for a long time, and somehow, honestly, I have no idea how I ended up seeing all of this, but it fucked up my head. It made me feel fearful. It made me feel dirty. I could not ever feel clean, ever. I just felt gross all the time, no matter how many showers I took, no matter how much I prayed and studied it and all that. It was such shit to me. So what happened was I lost my laptop when I kind of went into this place of protection of myself. I felt like I needed to find a way to not only raise awareness or try to prevent this from happening to somebody. I mean, literally, restraint, putting somebody in a fucking cage. I saw these things. It's disgusting. So I was confused. I was like, how do they get away with this? This is horrifying. How do they get away with this? I haven't looked at those things in years. And I started to recently when I was in therapy. I was like, why are you normalizing this and saying I have depression or I have anxiety, when in reality they have the disorder in their minds? They're like animals, and need to be studied and figured out. It's so sad because I wonder about the people who survived it. I wonder what happened to them. I wonder if they're okay. I wonder why no one would help them, and why somebody, a whistleblower like me, would be restrained in places, isolated, told I was delusional, crazy, um, and given just all these labels of stupid shit where it was like that's their group. That's the kind of shit they do. Um, they're sick. They are sick people. But later on, I saw more, and honestly, like everybody, if you, it's not. How do I explain this? I had to know more about it. I had to know what happens to these people. Do they ever get help? Ever? Uh, um, I'm still sad. I'm gonna stay sad. I don't think it's funny. I don't think I should be an actress and act like I'm fine when I'm not. When I see these things and I want somebody to do something about it. As in exposing it and not laughing about it, taking it seriously. So it does go back to the violence wheel. Nobody took it seriously. For years, I tried to get it out of me to talk about it. Nobody fucking took it seriously. Not one person. All they did was lie and put on a show and act like it's a normal thing to hurt somebody. And it does come down to that. And at the end of the day, violence is violence. I mean, the things I saw were horrifying. I'm traumatized, but I've dealt with it without somebody saying, well, maybe you should blah, 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 be an advocate or some bullshit. For what? How can I help somebody if these people have weapons and places that they do these things and there's groups of them and they have no remorse? How can I fucking help somebody? I can't. I don't have what they have. They look it up. Fucking everything I just said, look it up. So I have one of these little cards I found about human trafficking. Human trafficking is defined as sex trafficking in which a commercial sex act, as in pornography, is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age, or the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of subjection to involuntary servitude. I can't read this. Peonage. I don't know that word. Debt bondage or slavery. That's what trafficking is. It's exploitation based. Human smuggling is something different, so I'm not going to talk about that. Trafficking indicators. This is a crime. Simple. Has nothing to do with anything else other than sex trafficking. Is the victim in possession of identification and travel documents? If not, who has control of the documents? Was the victim coached on what to say to law enforcement and immigration officials? Was the victim recruited for one purpose and forced to engage in some other job? Is the victim's salary being garnished to pay off a smuggling fee? Paying off a smuggling fee alone is not considered trafficking. Was the victim forced to perform sexual acts? Does the victim have freedom of movement? Has the victim or family been threatened with harm if the victim attempts to escape? Has the victim been threatened with deportation or law enforcement action? Has the victim been harmed or deprived of food, water, sleep, medical care, or other life necessities? Can the victim... Oh, wait. Speaking of which, I have TMJ really bad. And I was in pain over it, but it's all in my head. I just have a mental disorder. I'm making it up. Can the victim freely contact friends and family? No. Is the victim a juvenile engaged in commercial sex? Not right now. Not a juvenile. Is the victim allowed to socialize or attend religious services? Mm-mm. I wonder what that even means. What's religion? Is that a religion? That? Doing that to people? Saw that on the internet. But I'm crazy. I'm the one with the mental disorder, not the person who does shit like that to people. They're completely sane. They're healthy. They don't have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or, speaking of which, what does that even mean? What the hell is schizophrenia? Such a big book. Sleep disorders, personality disorders, minor depressive disorder, technical terms, parent-child relational problems, dependent personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder. I can't read that. What does that mean? There's so many things to read in here. So this is from the 90s. There's a new one. Jet lag type, really? Circadian rhythm disorder. Sleep disorders, sorry. Sleep disorders. Narcolepsy. Primary insomnia. Gender identity disorder. No, I pretty much know I'm a girl. Post-concussional disorder. I had a concussion once. It was awful. I got so depressed. It was very depressing. It's right here, a big gash on my head. Mental retardation. Dementia. Exhibitionism. Yikes. All these disorders. Substance-induced sexual dysfunction. Gross. One time I was outside smoking a cigarette. This guy comes up asking for directions. Looks like a normal businessman. White guy. Walk up to the... He's doing this. I'm like, holy shit. Call the cops. Pain disorder. Somatization disorder. Dissociative disorder. Schizophrenia. Hey. Hallucinations. Let's see here. That's pretty much... Doesn't say a whole lot. Generalized anxiety disorder just goes into anxiety disorders and depressive disorders. I don't know how. Conversion disorder. I was recently diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. Because it's always something. They always got to slap a label on something. But to make you shut the fuck up. And just take it. So, I had to get help. Real help. Because I mentally, emotionally, spiritually could not cope with what I saw. I had to get help. I'll tell you what, it didn't come from a fucking doctor. Y'all can go fuck yourselves.